Hello, everybody, and welcome once again to Disco Elysium. My name is Wanda Wicks. This is, I believe, part 7 of our journey through Revachol. We're just starting up day 2, and, well, you've already heard all the content warnings. Let's go. Alright. So here we are, starting things off. Let's get a quick refresher. Where are we at? We've got 2 skill points to play with. Yeah, we have both alcohol and pyrrolidon, should we need them. These speakers that we can sell for 30 real. Got the pen that Lena gave us. A few other things here. We have been handed a task by our central nervous system to sniff some speed, also drink booze, also replace the ball that we threw into the sea. Also, we have to pay Gart for tomorrow night. We really don't have another option. We need to find where the blue door leads. There's a smoker on the balcony who we'll be seeing sometime after 9 p.m. Gotta find where the heck our gun is. Now, I don't think we've seen this yet. Let's take a look at the map. As I mentioned, this was important for us to get because this is what will let us fast travel between different locations. Not right now, of course. We're indoors. But as Plaisance told us, this was the map created by some design students that's really more of a hypothetical of what this place should be. So we know, for example, that this plaza here doesn't exist. This cube, which is where the DLC was going to be, nothing there. And as we'll see, this pleasure wheel, as they call it, is not present. The map is also helpful for letting us know about white checks that we've seen and have not yet passed. And let's see. We do have our Cop of the Apocalypse thought going. And there's also actually, I've did a little research in between weeks here, and I think we are going to go for this one as well. So we need to open up a slot. Kingdom of Conscience. This is the moralist option. That gives us a -2 to half-light, which I believe would put us... Yeah, we're currently at a -1 for this stat. It's very rare to see a stat go into the negatives. Anyway, let's get going. Revachol awaits. Oh, we've got some people here. The gardener from before is out front. Lena's moved over here. And Kim, we got the little bouncy dialogue thing, meaning he wants to talk to us. You know what? Let's put the flashlight away. And we'll put the bag on in case we see anything we want to pick up with that. Good morning, Kim.
Morning.
He gives you a quick nod.
Looks like we can get to work at once. The Union muscle turned up. They look rowdy. We should talk to them.
That's the people who were over here in the box that was reserved for them. Why do we need to talk to them?
A lot of things point to the Dock Workers Union. The circumstances in Martinez, my preliminary information. Actually, that's not a lot of things. We should have dug up more yesterday. Still, we need to talk to them, and it won't be easy.
What do you mean, rowdy?
I mean ungovernable. Martinez isn't exactly enthusiastic about the RCM being here. They prefer to be policed by the Union. These men here.
They are the de facto law enforcement since cops don't come to Martinez.
Men who drink beer for breakfast? There's talk of an armed wing of the Union called the Hardy Boys, who are responsible for state policing. I think it's them.
There are so many of them. Maybe we should call in reinforcements?
That would just escalate tensions. No captain would sign off on it. Solving one murder isn't worth a conflict between the RCM and the Debarders Union.
It's triage. As in your world and many places, law enforcement can simply decline to investigate or decline to prosecute if they think they can't successfully get a conviction or if they think it will harm matters more than help. Well, it's not up to us.
In fact, even the death of 2 detectives might not warrant an all-out war. So let's keep a cool head, okay?
Okay, let's roll.
One more thing before we do. We don't have to talk to them immediately. We can walk right past them, continue with our business.
That's the game letting you know that you're under no obligation to do that interaction right yet. And we won't, because there's a few other things I want to trigger first.
Yeah, streetwise. Zoom right past. Do it on your own terms. But aren't you curious to know what they have to say about the murder?
Internal conflict.
They're in no hurry to leave. They think they own the place. Anyway, I leave that choice to you. Whatever you decide is fine by me.
Damn well better be. I'm the protagonist. Alright. Well, before we do anything else, I don't want to risk accidentally not having the money to pay for it, so we're gonna pay for our room for tonight.
Got the 20 real?
Yeah, 20 real for the night.
Good. You got the room for the night, but remember, you'll need another 20 real tomorrow.
No, I won't actually, but you don't know that yet. Goodbye. Morning, Lena.
Just a moment.
The old woman turns back to the cafeteria manager.
She's agitated, judging from the way she keeps pulling at the frayed edge of her blanket.
Just barely made that one.
And there's no public phones nearby?
The closest phone booth is down the coast. Sorry for the inconvenience, ma'am.
The cafeteria manager appears genuinely apologetic.
It's fine, I understand. Thank you anyway. I'm glad to see you again, dear.
Good day, ma'am. Everything all right?
Please don't trouble yourself about me, sweetie. I was just hoping to make a call, but the Whirling's phone line isn't working. The union office probably has a phone, but I can't really get there. Or to the phone booth down the coast. And Gary's phone is dead too.
Wait, what's wrong with the phone line?
The manager was vague about it.
Why would he be vague about phone problems? This is something to look into later. Ask God, maybe.
That is a weird thing to be vague about. Why do you need to use the phone anyway?
To let the young woman who's house-sitting for us know that we may be delayed. Morel, my husband, and our friend Gary were supposed to get back by Monday night, but they're still missing, and I haven't heard from them.
She is the cryptozoologist's wife. Logically, Morel would be a cryptozoologist.
I was also hoping she'd heard from Morel.
She looks down.
A little missing persons puzzle might just be the thing to take your mind off the hangover.
Okay, I'll bite. Has your husband gone missing before?
That's just it. This isn't like him at all. He always plans his expeditions so carefully.
A cold breeze hisses through dense thickets of reeds. Something sweet in it, somnolent. A damp chill goes down your spine. When you look around, you're still in the whirling in rags.
That's our connection to the area, giving us a hint of where Morel is. Something about thickets of reeds.
You have more important things to worry about.
She glances at the window toward the bay.
More important than a missing expedition? I don't know. Expeditions often lead to something interesting.
What is this expedition your husband was on?
Just some field work, sweetie. Morel is a highly trained scientist. He and his assistant Gary are studying an extremely rare species of insect. But they should have returned by now. They were just going down the coast across the water lock to set a few traps. He said they'd be back on Monday. What could be keeping them?
What indeed?
The water lock. That was broken. Could this be it?
Wait, who's this Gary person? You trust him?
Oh, sweetie, it's nothing like that.
She smiles.
Gary's as loyal as they come. I trust him with my husband's life any day.
I'll give him this. Gary, as we will see, certainly has his faults, but loyalty to Morel and Lena is not one of them. The water lock to the other side of the coast is broken. They're probably just stuck over there.
Oh my. What happened to the water lock?
So our options are, you may not believe it, but it looks like some maniac crashed his motor carriage into it. Wouldn't you know, it's blocked by a big butter billboard. It fell right into the water. Probably just some technical problem, or I really don't know. I'm not gonna scare her with this. I think we'll just give her details, but not details that might be this upsetting. A billboard fell down.
Oh, sweetie. If it weren't for you, I'd be looking forward to another sleepless night. Thank you from the bottom of my heart.
Sometimes just knowing why you're not getting what you want is almost as good as getting what you want.
You're welcome, ma'am.
I hate to ask, but if your investigation takes you to the other side of the coast, please do keep an eye out for my husband.
Yes, some left-field scientific research is exactly what you need right now. Funk up that vanilla murder investigation.
And if you see him, let him know Lena is waiting for him here at the Whirling. He gets so tangled up in his work that he may not know the water lock's been repaired. And it's cold out there.
If I see him, I'll let him know you're here, when or if I get there.
Oh, you're such a dear. Thank you, sweetie.
So, not much of a spoiler. Yes, we will be getting across the coast, and yes, we will be seeing Morel. So, your husband is some kind of scientist?
Oh, yes. A zoologist. A cryptozoologist, to be more precise.
Don't worry, this is nothing to do with Bitcoin. What is cryptozoology?
It's a pseudoscience that attempts to legitimize research into mythological beasts and urban legends.
The lieutenant sounds unimpressed. He also pronounces the P in pseudoscience.
That's one opinion, yes. And people are entitled to their opinions.
Oh, you love to be in the middle of one of these, don't you?
She's used to playing off such insults casually, but they still affect her.
My apologies, ma'am. I did not mean to undermine your hobby.
It's not a hobby, dear. It's a subfield of zoology, one specializing in animal species that are so exceedingly rare that many assume them to be extinct or even fictitious.
Now, on the one hand, certainly in the modern day and age, searching for things like Bigfoot or the Chupacabra, that's silly. But on the other hand, there have certainly been periods in history where certain creatures were assumed to be fake or frauds. I mean, think of the first European who brought back a stuffed platypus. Anyway.
Searching for such species called cryptids is difficult and often thankless, and frankly, many scientists are too lazy to do it. Universities these days are rarely interested in supporting real research.
The quality of research at Revacholian universities has been on the decline, but you doubt there was ever a time when cryptozoology was embraced by the academic elite.
So tell me more about Morel. Looks, character, your relationship.
Oh dear, I'm not sure where to begin.
Well, let's start with, what does your husband look like?
Well, his expression is slightly grumpy, but his eyes are always bright and curious, like a small boy's. And his palms are quite coarse from all the field work, but he's quite gentle.
You can't go around Revachol feeling grown men's hands. If you want to find her husband, you'll need more concrete information.
It's pretty obvious from this dialogue that Lena is thinking of her emotions for her husband and not about describing him to a cop. let's try again. Why don't you try describing him as you would one of your cryptids?
Oh, well, he's a bit shorter than you, but with a larger frame, and he has longish white hair, usually a bit uncombed. You might say wild, even.
The lieutenant pulls out his notebook and begins jotting down the woman's description.
One other thing, he'll likely have all kinds of field gear on him, even if he's not out in the reeds, just in case.
How long have you been married?
We'll be celebrating our 16th anniversary this autumn. Not the most numerically satisfying anniversary, but I like the less obvious milestones even more somehow.
16 is a much more numerically significant anniversary in the vast majority of civilizations across the multiverse that have as the base for their numeral system one of the powers of 2. Anyway, how did the two of you meet?
By a dating agency, I'm ashamed to say. I was looking to get back into the scene after recovering from my accident, and he'd just divorced.
Now, there's a hint of their history here. You may recall when we were talking with Lena yesterday in game, she mentioned that she was paralyzed because of an accident at her workplace, and she said one could only dream of such payouts nowadays. The insurance money from that made her temporarily quite wealthy, and she was just recovering from her accident. This man meets her, and while I'm certain their feelings for each other are genuine, there is, shall we say, a practical aspect to their relationship. After all, I can't imagine being a cryptozoological researcher pays especially well. But maybe that's just me being cynical.
We hit it off, and, well, here we are.
She smiles wistfully.
She's skipping over some important parts. Perhaps you'll find out more later.
I think I have all the information I need. Let's move on.
I hope I've been useful.
So tell me more about this rare insect your husband is looking for.
Oh, sweetie, it's fascinating. But I shouldn't bore you with entomological minutiae.
The lieutenant gives you a sideways glance.
Kim, I love you, but we're doing this. No, I want to hear about the insect.
Well, it's a phasmid, technically, but...
Ah yes, Phasmatodea, a diverse group of insects whose bodies resemble twigs, leaves, that sort of thing. Ghost insects, colloquially.
As with a lot of other things in this game, this is very close to something from your world. The skua that Gary is working on is another example. That is a bird that you could find in your world, but it's not exactly the same. Anyway, this is talking about stick bugs.
Where other phasmids imitate sticks or leaves, this one's a living reed. It disguises itself among the reeds here on the Insulindian coast. Hence its name, the Insulindian phasmid. Perhaps you'll end up co-discovering the phasmid with us, officers.
She looks you in the eye and nods thoughtfully.
I knew it. We're gonna be chasing made-up insects with cryptozoologists.
It's not made up, officer. I can assure you. It's simply elusive, so much so that most establishment zoologists doubt it exists at all.
Again, Kim, I totally get that you're the skeptic here, but Lena's written dialogue spells elusive correctly. So, she's got you there. What makes you think the phasmid is around here?
Well, some teenagers making out in the reeds saw one. They didn't know what it was, of course, but there was a brief article in a local newspaper about their encounter with a ghost insect that looks like the reeds. Gary sent us the clipping.
So a newspaper clipping is all the evidence you have?
Of course, most phasmid sightings turn out to be false alarms, but their description matched the Insulindian phasmid perfectly, and they didn't even know what they were looking at.
As a police officer, in theory, we should be well aware of the inaccuracy of most eyewitness testimony. But when someone knows something that they would have no reason to know, that is significant.
Enthusiasm has wiped the worry from her face. Her eyes sparkle behind her glasses.
You seem really excited about this cryptid.
I suppose I have something of a personal connection to the Insulindian phasmid. All scientists have their little hobby horses.
So is it dangerous?
Not at all. Why else would it hide itself so carefully?
Is it valuable?
Oh, I doubt it. No one gets into cryptozoology for the money, sweetie.
Does it have cool powers?
Yes, it can blend in almost perfectly among the reeds. It's how it stayed hidden all these years, centuries even.
You will recall the island of Le Caillou that we are on has been inhabited for 300 years when settlers came across the Pale.
That's not special at all. Of course it blends in. Most insects do. You don't even have to be a stick insect for that.
Okay, what's so special about this stick bug then?
Oh dear. I'm afraid I'm not explaining this very well. It is very special.
The woman's face flushes with embarrassment.
Morel can explain it all much better. I wish you could hear him describe it. Then you'd understand, I'm sure.
Now, we do have a suggestion check here to get more information about cryptids. I'm not really optimized for suggestion at the moment. So, that's all for now, ma'am. Let's see. Suggestion. What do we got? Currently at a -1 because of our shirt. Swap that out. Do we have any pro suggestion items? I don't think so at this point in the game. Oh, we do. Okay, that's pretty good. We went from a -1 to a +1. But before we check that, let's ask Guard about that damaged phone line.
Can I help you?
Guard, I saw another thing at the whirling.
Another thing. Great. I love those.
Well, first, let's get this. I saw a sign that said I couldn't go into the kitchen. Why can't I go into the kitchen?
What are you, a cook now? That's none of your business.
Well, maybe I am a cook.
You're not. You're a menace. Fine, okay. The kitchen is closed until 1 p.m. because the real cook is working. You can snoop around after that, if you must.
So the phone line is dead?
Yes, and the phone company is taking its sweet time sending someone to fix it. Losers.
That's pretty strange.
Not strange, it's inconvenient.
No. Something nefarious is definitely afoot.
If you say so.
Is it true there was foul play?
Who told you that?
So our options are, Lena, I would never disclose my sources. That would be dishonorable. Or, it doesn't matter. I just want to know who you suspect. Well, Lena didn't tell us that it was foul play, and this just seems weird. So we're going to say, I want to know who you suspect.
Fine, yeah. It looked like someone had messed with the wiring. It was shortly after the hanging, but I don't know if it's at all related. Plenty of arseholes around here who aren't murderers.
This is true. And we did hear from Sylvie when we called her on Kim's radio that copper thieves take the copper around here. But you'll note he said messed with the wiring, not stolen.
If you do find out who cut the line, though, let me know so I can forward them the repair bill.
We will. You won't. There's something else I want to talk about?
Yes?
Actually nothing. Bye. Okay.
Oh, hello, dear. There you are again.
Much better. Let's give it a shot.
There's really no point in manipulating anyone. She'd be only too pleased to tell you about her work. Go on and ask.
We only just made that. We succeeded because we optimized our wardrobe. Hey, Lena, I'd like to hear about some of the cryptids you've studied. Could you just tell me about a couple of them?
Oh, I'd be delighted. Truth be told, I could really use the company too.
One cryptid, not a couple. One. This won't turn into some kind of cryptid extravaganza.
All right, Kim, we won't mess with you too much. Just one little cryptid, I promise.
He nods and assumes a waiting posture. Ooh, tough choice there.
So our options are the biggest cryptid, the tiniest cryptid, the most dangerous cryptid. Is that a cryptid on this pen you gave me? Are there any invisible cryptids? Or, this has been educational. Sadly, we need to discuss something else. We've got the pen. Let's ask about this.
Yes. It's the kind green ape. Half war story, half undiscovered species in the genus Homo.
War story?
Yes, it was reported by soldiers in South Safra during the war. The kind green ape would visit bunkers during the night, healing wounded soldiers with its saliva.
Wow, with its saliva?
Yes, it has amazing healing qualities. Some soldiers reported growing back limbs, regaining their sight.
And there was something about an undiscovered subspecies of man?
Indeed, there is. It's our closest relative among the cryptids. Same taxonomic family, different genus.
I would just like to note, this woman who had an injury to her spine and can't walk has been carrying around a pen of a cryptid that has magic healing properties that can regrow limbs and regain missing abilities. I think, on some level, maybe she holds out hope. Continue.
Which is to say, the kind green ape is a species with which we share a common ancestor and that evolved parallel to our own, just like your partners.
Now, you may have noticed there's a lot of race-based content in Revachol, and now that we know about the Pale dividing the world into Isolas, that makes a little more sense. I mean, remember, inter-isolary travel was really only perfected 300 years ago. The various subgroups of humanity have largely been out of touch with each other until then. The idea that you could meet someone who is racially different from you is a much more recent innovation for the people of Elysium than it is for the people of your world. Give or take. We're not going to tell Kim that he's not human. And we're certainly not going to imply that we're superior to him. As much as I don't want to call Lena stupid, we gotta call out the racism. We just have to. I'm pretty sure Kim is the same species as us. To suggest otherwise is stupid. And honestly, I think in certain cases, the actual definition of a species is able to interbreed and create fertile offspring. And given the fact that in Kim's backstory, he is not actually Seolite or even half Seolite, but 2/4 Seolite, he exists as living proof that the Seolites are the same species as the rest of us. Anyway, Kim's the same species.
The lieutenant looks at you, pleasantly surprised.
Oh, no, I didn't mean to imply that Seolites are inferior to us in many ways. You are superior. For example, your earwax doesn't have a foul odor like ours does.
Sure, and they're really good at math.
A tremendous evolutionary advantage, I'm sure. But perhaps we've had enough speculative biology for today?
Yeah, we'll come back to Lena and ask these other questions later, maybe when Kim's not with us. This has been educational, Sadly, we need to discuss something else.
Of course, dear.
And by something else, I mean goodbye. Alright. Anything new in the kitchen? I don't think so. Oh, there is. The tomatoes are so thinly sliced you can see through them. An aroma of spices, alcohol, and tomato hangs in the air. Okay, so here's the gardener, and here's the Hardy Boys, but we're not going to be talking with them yet. As a power move, we're going to walk right on by them. Now, as I mentioned earlier, I have been doing some reading in between sessions, And I know why I wasn't able to find that thing in the other room earlier. And we'll talk with her in a bit, on our way back. Alright. Okay. Alright. Now, you may recall I was looking around here looking for something. Oh, let's look out there. Sea below looks cold and winter gray. But we don't see anything other than that, do we? But the problem is our hat. We're wearing the Dick Mullen hat, which gives us a bonus to Encyclopedia. We need to wear a green froggy visor instead, which gives us a bonus to Perception. That plus 1 is going to bring us to a 5, which should be enough to let us see the thing. It should be. I might need to pop out and pop back in. I'm going to be really upset if this doesn't do it. There it is. Yellow. Book, 16 Days of Coldest April. We have a free book. We're not going to read it right now, though. Clock's ticking. We're burning daylight. Oh. Might as well grab the bottles while we're here. Alright. Now, as I said, we're going to talk to her. You see a sturdy woman humming to herself. She seems to be browsing books. This is the working class woman. Good one?
Yes? Hello?
She nods, her attention fully focused on reading. By the way, Plaisance, your business might be failing because you're leaving a bunch of your paper inventory out in the rain. Anyway, who are you?
Me? No one. I'm just a working class woman.
She's under no obligation to give us her name.
If she's such a working class woman, why isn't she working?
Shouldn't a working class woman be working?
Not all the time. Right now I'm browsing books. Even a working class woman needs something to read.
I'm a policeman.
I know you are.
Everyone can see that. The rectangles.
I should note this dialogue plays even if we're not wearing something that has rectangles on it. But we are, so I get it. Although, I guess he might be referring to his own rectangles. Anyway, do you need the help of a policeman?
What with?
Maybe your husband is missing.
My husband? No, he's not.
So where could he be?
I don't know. At home now? Out drinking with his friends? Working?
Where is this going, officer?
So what I'm hearing is you don't really know where your husband is. Much like Lena.
Yes, but I don't really need to know where my husband is. Not all the time.
But if you had a cell phone, wouldn't you like to?
No.
I can totally help you find your missing husband.
Why are we still talking about this? I haven't lost my husband.
It's got to be something else then. Why else would you be asking her if it wasn't?
That's a great question. Why is this dialogue option here? Maybe your cockatoo is missing.
I don't mean to disrespect, sir, but you are being a bit of a cockatoo here.
For what it's worth, I agree. But cockatoos can't be stopped when they get like this. It's better to indulge him at this point.
What do you mean I'm being a cockatoo?
Nothing. Go read up on them if you're so interested. There's a great book in the bookstore.
And that unlocked that book.
Maybe you should. What if the cockatoo is your astral captain? Or your heraldic bird?
You will note they specifically avoid the phrase spirit animal. Actually, that's exactly what I'm going to do. Thanks for the tip.
Wonderful. The store is open.
Maybe your children are missing.
No, absolutely not.
Her words come out quick as gunshots. This might be something she's sensitive about. Okay, so where are they?
Are you a policeman or a nanny?
She's definitely disturbed by now. I police whatever I want. Where are they?
They are not missing, sir.
You know where they are. They're at home, smoking, giving the ladder of vices a chance. No, they're at a disco, getting down. Stupid disco dancing teenagers.
Well, they might be at home. They're probably not at a disco at 8:22 in the morning. Okay, great. Just making sure.
I see.
Watch her browse the books.
Her hands move over the book covers. The tips of her fingers look rough, stained with yellow. It seems like she has spent a lot of time at work, smoking. Another comrade. Years of labor are pressing down on her shoulders. She deserves a hug for all the work she's done for mankind.
You might remember this from my very first content warning song. Let's give her a hug.
You step in and close your arms around this foreign body.
Wait, no, I think it was the second...
Touch.
Well, anyway.
There's a small movement beneath your hands as you shut your eyes. Then a tiny voice breaks out and asks,
What is happening?
Imagine seeing a cop walk up to you, unprompted, ask you if your husband, children, and cockatoo are missing. And then when you try to give him the brush off, the cop hugs you. Man, we're weird.
She seems to be confused. Your hands are wrapped around her polyester coat. The fabric feels cold, moist from the sea nearby.
Keep hugging her.
The situation is oddly intimate. Your cheek is pressed against her shoulder. Her hand is trapped between your chest. 5 seconds pass, and their passing seems so unimaginably long. Then she coughs and says again,
What are you doing, officer?
I'm not going to say I hug whomever I please, I'm a hug monster. That seems a little too much. I'm gonna say I'm fighting for the working class. After all, she identified herself as working class. She's probably got a little bit of communism up there in that brain. And we are on the communism path.
Fighting for it how?
She hasn't let go of your embrace yet. Hug by hug, one hug at a time, or a hug a day keeps the bourgeoisie away. One hug at a time.
Oh,
There's a strange sensation as the woman strengthens her grip. She's hugging you back.
I guess it's better than nothing. Keep fighting on, my fellow comrade.
Then she breaks up the hug, her cheeks flushed.
Is there anything else I can help you with?
That's all for the moment. I'll let you read.
The woman before you nods and returns to her reading.
And that is that. I'm just curious, what's our communism level at? 17. Very nice. Like I believe I mentioned, we're trying to get it up to 30 for the political vision quest. Oh, let's take a look. See the description. We're not going to actually read it yet. The cover features a row of concrete buildings with a monochrome rainbow in the sky. It tells a rather excruciating story about 2 lovers during a period of ethnic unrest in Yugograd. The book has been filed under psychological realism. 62 on that, 13 on that, coming along. Very nice. How many skill points we got? We just got the 1 at the moment. That's fine. Okay. Now, in theory, we could go in and talk to the boys, but we're not going to just yet. Because I went and put on our perception hat, so I think it's time to do some perceiving. Oh, let's get these orbs. Every orb is 1 XP. The kid's ladder is rickety, but still climbable. Someone is trying to grow herbs in this greenhouse. Not gonna do his thing yet. This winch mechanism has been oxidizing for some years. Winch off the side there. Can't get to those yet. This is the problem with isometric perspective. In theory, from where we are, we shouldn't be able to see on top of this ruined building, but we can. And unfortunately, the fact that we can highlight things here implies to us that we will be able to get up here, but we don't know how yet. And if I click on that, we can't get there. This can be frustrating if you misinterpret this and you think you can just walk in and it's on the same level. But, you know, any perspective has its limitations. We're going to look at this.
An inconspicuous pile of the roofing material, Eternite.
What is this?
It's nothing. Someone just left some roofing material slanted against an old shack. Glad you asked. When junior researcher Olari Tal invented Eternite in the Vatna Polytechnic Institute some 30-odd years ago, he thought it would last forever. Hence the name, Eternite. Sadly, the only lasting thing turned out to be the material's highly carcinogenic effect.
Think of asbestos, perhaps. Why am I looking at this pile of the roofing material?
Because there's a secret door hidden behind the panels of Eternite. That's why they're too orderly.
Pull the panels aside.
There it is. You see a shabby little door.
What is this then? A tool shed? Let's investigate.
In we go. Now, as I mentioned, we're trying to get the art cop option next. So this is arguably some art. A cured pig's head. It looks mummified. Look, a chair placed above a mummified pig's head. And pigs, as we know, are, you know, us. And look at the X on the forehead. This is a king who thinks he is above the police. At any rate, that's how I interpret this display. Get the orbs. Empty tube of magnesium supplement. Magnesium supplement you rub on your chest to live a happy, magnesium-rich life. Poster says, get out of the way or get fucked up. A silver plate with traces of bone yellow powder. Oh, electrochemistry has an opinion.
Amphetamine. Sweet amphetamine. Maybe this Kuno kid knows where to find more.
By the way, we're in Kuno's secret hideout. This obviously is sort of like aggressive kid. It's basically a treehouse, but more hidden.
The lieutenant isn't studying the powder in the mirror. He's studying you. There's a good vague way to ask where he stands on drug use. Professionally, I mean.
Even if we didn't know this was Kuno's shack, the fact that this is amphetamine and it's within spitting distance of a kid who, again, we know is on amphetamine, pretty solid evidence. So our options are, someone has taken narcotics here. Perhaps the police should interfere? I wasn't thinking about taking it, I swear. I was thinking about justice. Or, I've heard amphetamines make you a really good detective. Are you a really good detective? We're going to go with option 1. Perhaps the police should interfere.
Perhaps not. This is below our pay grade, detective. However,
He points to the ladder in the corner.
see that ladder there? It's probably another way into the industrial harbor, no? A secret path the local kids use.
And indeed it is. Like I said, the 3 ways into the harbor are to agree with Measurehead, beat up Measurehead, or this. And there is one other thing here. What's that? 40 cents. We're taking Kuno's spare change. And up we go. Now, look. There's a cloak hanging on the railing here. And now, we're up here. Get another postcard. And some spare change. And what's this? Restoration pillars keep the ruins together. This doorway is gonna collapse soon. Alright. This environment is sort of weird to navigate. It helps that there are things to click on that you can pathfind towards. Get a little nose fed, don't mind if I do. That is helpful because there's a check coming up that if we miss it, we lose health. Some spare change up here on the roof. Now, before I engage with this, we've got this postcard we just got. This postcard depicts an ill-advised residential area overlooking the Jamrock Quarter. 13-story buildings line the hillside like sarcophagi, an ominous fog already rising from behind. These are the last boom years. In 39, the project fails catastrophically, leaving behind an opiate and hepatitis B-infested slum. These postcards just give us a little bit of historical world building. After that, there's nothing to do with them but sell them to Roy, which we will do along with these speakers in just a moment. Let's see. No. No. Definitely not those. No, we don't have anything for it.
Looks like someone left his tarpaulin cloak hanging on the railing here. When the wind ruffles the cloak, you can most definitely see a white rectangle on its back.
You son of a gun, it's a cop's cloak.
Yes, it's probably yours. It bears the RCM insignia, and you have a habit of being careless with your equipment.
He judges the drop.
You could probably make the jump. You look like you've done some track and field in your day.
42%. Now, I'd like to point out that the check to beat up Measurehead is physique. The check to understand his philosophy is intellect. And perception and savoir-faire, the 2 checks we need to make to go this route, are both motorics. So, either way, we're gated by just 1 stat. And it's highly unlikely that all 3 of those stats would be especially low. Let's look around.
The wind is aggressive up here. The lieutenant looks at the enormous crane towering in the distance over the container yard.
This is the harbor. The blocked off area where everyone's on strike.
That machine is a Kvalsund 1020 HK.
Oh, thank you very much. Our signature skill, interfacing. Kvalsund 1020 HK.
Is it? Kvalsund makes a lot of heavy equipment, but this is phenomenal, even for them.
Kvalsund, by the way, means whale fjord.
But I digress. We were focusing on your cloak here.
He looks at the sad piece of fabric flapping in the wind.
The wind is aggressive.
I just want to tick off the other options,
Looks at the enormous crane.
because we made the
That
check,
machine is a
but
Kvalsund 1020 HK.
our options are, motherfucker, that's a huge crane. It's just a machine, Lieutenant, like a giant hammer or a pair of pliers, nothing to see here. Or, Let him have this moment of wonder.
His eyes trace the crane's contour, as if trying to memorize its majestic shape. Then he notices your gaze.
In much the same way that he loves his car, Kim is fascinated with large machinery. He's good at assessing how a machine works. Presumably, he also has a very good interfacing check.
Yes. We were in the middle of something. Your clock.
What exactly are we doing up here?
What are we doing? We're awfully close to breaking into the industrial harbor. They're bound to have information for us. I thought that was our intention. Or it could be that we are just exploring.
He looks around, wind rustling his hair. Do you really think this cloak is mine? Should I go for it? Jump?
The cloak? I do think it's yours, yes. As to whether you should go for it?
He looks over the ledge at the cold pavement below.
Well, it doesn't seem too dangerous. 2 meter stops. Whenever you're ready to do it, I'll be right behind you.
The cloak looks like a bag of goodies floating in the wind. Who knows what its pockets may hide?
Alright, 42%. And I'll let you know right now, if we fail this, I'm going to put a point into savoir-faire and immediately try again, because I really want to get this. Uh-oh.
Nope, no. That's still too high. What were you thinking? You're not a gymnast. You're a boxer. And you've climbed way too high up here.
The text here is different. Holy wow, that's high! Doesn't seem dangerous. The lieutenant must be crazy to suggest that. This is certain death. Vertigo almost pushes you over the edge. Yep. Yes, I know. Oh, morale.
Just dive there. Shit.
Oh,
I'm
could have sworn it was the other one.
This wasn't part of our deal.
Oh, you're fine, Volition.
Hey! What happened?
He sounds genuinely worried. It's alright, Kim. I just can't do it right now.
I understand. We can always come back when you are feeling better. It's just a cloak after all.
Nope, this is plot relevant. We're getting it. Got the 1 point. Gonna use it.
A tarpaulin cloak with possible RCM markings
Okay.
is still cool.
Still more than possible that we fail this. If we do have other stuff that we can do, don't worry. But I'm really hoping we get in on this one. There we go.
As you leap in the air, a chilly breeze engulfs you, sharpening your senses.
Close your eyes. Let your senses take in the world around you. It's worth noting, this is the highest elevation we've been at so far. In theory, a pretty good vantage point. Let your senses take in the world around you.
Ankles tingling from the tension, blood roaring in your ears. You are ready for your rendezvous with the concrete pavement below. Martinez goes about its daily routine as you soar through the air. The loud voices of protesters mix with the engine sounds from the traffic jam. Waves crash against the pier, and dense, salty sea air fills your lungs.
Don't let go of the moment yet.
The corpse is dominating the yard,
It's
and
over
the
here.
stench is nauseating. Even so far from the epicenter, it brings tears to your eyes.
Our failure to do our job has been stink bombing this whole neighborhood for a week. Continue the voyage through the salty air.
As the concrete floor welcomes you, you realize it's been a while since you felt so alive, alert, capable. Must be the adrenaline.
Must be.
I knew you could do it. My climbing down might not have been as disco as your jump, but at least we can explore the harbor now.
You could just climb down? Kim?
With your feet firmly planted on the concrete, the noise of the harbor rushes back in.
Alright, we got this now. Let's inspect it. we get a bonus to Esprit de Corps and a bonus to Shivers. Esprit de Corps, taking back the streets. Shivers, know thy neighborhood. A police cloak made from heavy tarpaulin. It would be nigh wind and waterproof if there weren't 3 bullet holes scattered on the surface. The signature white rectangle of the RCM covers the garment's back. Now, I just want to point this out. It would be wind and waterproof, and we get a bonus to Shivers. Compare and contrast. This windbreaker, which gives us a negative to Shivers because it is weatherproof. The 3 bullet holes in the back are a value add. You know what? Let's look a little more professional. Yeah. All right, we're in. Collecting rainwater. Numerous empty bottles of Commodore Red and potent Pilsner. At least 3 packs worth of cigarette butts. So, this, I'll let you know, is where we've been. Obviously, we left our cloak over on that railing. And we were here partying a while ago. So even though we weren't doing our job, at some point before the game started, we did get into the harbor. Now, I just want to give you a little, well, I think a visual calculus check of our own. It's not provided by the game itself, but I like to think this is canon. Now, I'll let you know right now, if we're heading out this way, this is the office. We actually can't get through here yet. The door is locked and cannot be opened from this side without a pass card. Guess you have no choice but to talk to the union leader. So the question is, if we were in here earlier, how did we get out? Our cloak was here. I like to think that maybe we were here, looking in the direction of the corpse, perhaps gazing at it after all of the drinking we were doing over there in that isolated space, and maybe feeling bad about it, maybe trying to chase after our cloak that the wind had caught, and we fell in here, which would allow us to climb down and get out to the yard that way. Honestly, I think that's the only way this makes sense. We can't have gotten out this way. We could have made this jump earlier, but there's no way we could have jumped down unless we've got something like this. We are going to go through here and clear out everything, but first, let's talk to that aforementioned union leader. Right? All around you, great machines in quiescence. White pine trees are printed onto the screen covering. Looks like a forest under snow. That's the Wild Pines logo. You see faded industrial lettering on the platform. Qualsund. Okay. Oh. What's this? Don't mind if I do. Just gonna get to this control panel thing here.
A rusting control panel with several knobs. 2 buttons marked Marche and Arrête are faded with use. It seems to control the large crane above. A container is attached to its hook block. Marche. On. Arrête. Off.
Press marche.
With a loud grind, the crane shifts overhead, moving a massive metal container through the air. And, with a surprisingly quiet thunk, the crane places the container down. The harbor sleeps as the strike rages in the distance. The crane can rest again, now that its purpose has been fulfilled.
Its purpose? What do you mean?
Moving this container, of course. For this purpose it was built. For this purpose it has acted. And now it will rest.
I can't see how that was worth the wreckers, except for seeing the crane in action, which I admit was satisfying.
Stop.
The crane does not return to its original position. It does not move at all.
This is breaking the fourth wall just a little bit, but interfacing is correct. That was the purpose of this crane. That's the only thing we can do with it in the whole game. Alright. We're not going to mess with this just yet. Oh. The shipyard ahead is oddly quiet. The great machines are sleeping. This speaker tower is silent. There is no work to organize in the yard below. Oh. Well, we got a tool in our hands. We can get this. Gloves. Half-light. The musk of oil and rust comes from the chasm in front of you. Smells like blood. This is all just crates. We're on top of a stack of crates at least 3 deep. Let's have a look at those gloves. Fallen Ultra Series gloves. For ultimate performance efficiency, these Fallen Ultra Series gloves come fingerless and with a grippy padding covering the palms, making these ideal for quadrupedal movement or for lifting cargo. Now, you may note those match these. The sneakers that we bought that were unusually expensive. There are combos of clothing that we will want to get, and the Fallen tracksuit is one of them. We just need the hat, the jacket, and the pants. Industrial-sized thermos. Smells like burnt coffee. Oh. Spare change. Now, this is interesting. What's going on here? The banner sags under the weight of rain and snow. White waves on red.
Container, container, I'll turn you nice and red. Container, container, put the logos on.
The lyrics to this container song are being made up as he goes along. The accent is so thick, it's impossible not to notice he's Ubi, from the vanishing peninsula of Ubisunt on Muindi.
Yes, Ubisunt has a question mark in its name. And we don't necessarily know this, but it is vanishing because of the Pale. An entire country gradually going away.
Container, container, used to be Wild Pines. Container, container, now belongs to Everard.
The tiny man is so engaged in his work he doesn't notice you. Hi!
Everard, 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 he looks after everyone. Huh? Well, hey there. How can I help you, mister? I see you are not a union man, mister. Did you get lost? You're not one of them scabs, are you?
A shadow passes over his kind face. What is it with you people in scabs?
I mean, I don't personally mind. folks is just folks, you know, and folks gotta eat.
He doesn't seem to be waiting for you to answer.
Just some of the other guys don't look too kindly on the scabbing kind, if you know what I mean, mister.
Alright, we will ask all of these, but I think this right now is the most important. Notice all these red banners. You might have also clocked the red with this icon in the booth with the Hardy Boys that we ran past earlier. What are you doing with the containers?
Oh, I'm just making some covers for them containers here. Yes, I am. Yes, I am. So it's easier for the crane operators to spot them.
He waves at the containers towering behind him. What's going on here? Look at the mountains of containers rising behind him. Now, he is unquestionably working, but Wild Pines, he's not doing anything that they want. He's on strike. He's doing something the Union wants.
The containers in the yard are green in Wild Pine's livery, and the mountains rising behind Leo is all red in Union colors. It's like some red infection was spreading outwards from the container yard's core. There appear to be cisterns underneath the Union container covers.
The Union is claiming these containers. That's not normally something you're allowed to do in a strike. Or at least, not a strike that you anticipate ending amicably. This looks like a massive redecorating operation, Kim.
Yes, they are hiding it from the inside. All the red containers have the Debarders Union logo on them.
That's what this logo is. Leo, has anyone told you why you need to change the covers?
No, not really. Mr. Everett doesn't tell me all the big things. Says I go and tell them to everyone.
The Union members are not necessarily aware of what the Union leadership is doing. What is underneath these red covers?
Oh, I don't know, mister. They say it's some chemicals. Most of them have labels on them, I think.
It's not great that you're covering up the labels on the chemicals you're transporting. And also, the fact that they're transporting some chemicals will be relevant. Thanks, Leo. You've been very helpful.
Oh, no trouble at all, mister. No trouble at all.
Alright, the rest of this, we'll just go top to bottom. You're Ubi, right?
Oh, yes. Born and raised in Arish, mister. Mum had to leave my dad after he got a bit violent. Took us here to the new world. I was about 10 then. Too old to lose my accent then. People say us Ubis are up to all sorts of trouble with sheep and other animals and whatnot. I just want you to know there was never any of that where I come from. No, sir. Those are just nasty rumors.
Rumors like that persist about a lot of ethnic minorities.
Thank you for clarifying that, sir.
Where is everyone? The harbor's empty.
Oh, most of the guys are down at the gates, keeping the scabs from coming in.
He leans in with a confidential look.
We're on a strike. The whole union is. You don't have to work when you're on strike. Ha! We haven't worked for 2 months now.
That is apparently a we that doesn't include him.
So no one is working?
Not everyone is down there, of course. Mr. Everard is in his office, where he always is. And Jean-Luc is guarding the gate.
Jean-Luc is Measurehead's real name. He pauses to think.
But Titus and his boys got into some drunken trouble and Everard sent them on a nice vacation. For a week or so.
He stops, but seems eager to tell you more. What kind of trouble did this Titus and his friends get into?
Oh, I'm not really supposed to talk about that. That's union business.
He smiles and leans closer.
Him and his boys stirred up something in town. Probably drank too much and got into a fight or something. I heard Mr. Everett telling them to take some time off.
What did they actually do?
I guess the boys got a bit too rowdy and had to let out some steam. I don't really know the details. That's just how boys are, you know. I haven't been in a fight since I was in middle school.
Easy, Leo. Let's keep this on the hearties.
He looks to you for assistance. That's why he's labeled that. Easy Leo. Probably something he hears a lot to get him to stop talking. Fortunately, we want him to keep talking.
Look at him. It's not gonna be anything useful anyway. Don't fight it. Better to go with the flow.
As you wish, Rhetoric. Okay, Leo, let's hear about this fight you got into.
I remember I was the runt of the class. The bigger boys always used to pick on me. You see, I had a bit of a temper back in the day. Flew off the handle like nobody's business. But Mr. Everett and his brother always came to help. Once they beat old Noel Becker so bad he needed stitches on his head. Noel never started another fight with anyone after this.
There is strength in a union.
Mr. Everett and Mr. Edgar are real nice guys, mister. You should go talk to Mr. Everett. I'm sure you'll be good friends. He's friends with everyone around here.
The little guy starts coughing. Do you work here?
Yes, yes. Everybody needs a job, and this is mine. I'm Leonard, by the way. Leonard Bellick. But everyone calls me Leo.
The little man raises his hand in a welcoming gesture.
I'm like Mr. Everett's right-hand man when Mr. Edgar is out of town, and Mr. Edgar's right-hand man when Mr. Everett is away.
As we learned from Joyce earlier, the two identical twins basically trade off being union leader, which is how they get around the restriction on term limits.
Actually, Miss Beaufort is the right-hand man, but she's a lady.
Who is this, Miss Beaufort?
A real pretty lady with a skin like those Douai Sucre candy bars my missus likes so much. Them are real nice to suckle on once the dinner is done and me and the missus sit down besides the radio. But I can't listen to the radio all the time. There's so much to do around here and I'm always busy keeping things running here. Yes I am, yes I am.
Miss Beaufort.
Oh, Lizzie, she is a real sharp tool. Mr. Everett put her through some fancy school and everything, east of the river. 4 years she was gone, and when she came back, she was all fancy and lawyerly.
He respects that word. That's obvious.
But she's a real nice girl. Grew up in this here neighborhood, knows everybody and gets along with everyone. Real pillar of the community one day, I'm sure. If me missus and me was to have a child, I'd be real happy if she turned out like her. But she can't have kids. Dr. Lemaitre said so, and she knows about such things. Been a doctor for almost 50 years she has.
I'll just turn that up just a bit. He sighs and falls silent, watching you meekly with his blue eyes.
So Everett trained a lawyer named Miss Beaufort. Interesting.
I think you're doing a great job around here, Leo.
Yes, this place really seems to run like clockwork. Keep it up, Leo.
The lieutenant smiles at the little man.
Well, thanks a lot. Coming from you, it means a lot, really.
You didn't think it was possible, but the smile becomes even wider.
Sometimes I feel some of the guys don't really get how much I bust my ass for them here. But you guys are all right.
Hey, what's in that container over there? The one that we just brought down.
Oh, that one. That should be empty as far as I know. Lots of containers here have nothing in them. They're just waiting to be loaded up.
Okay, should be empty, got it. I'm looking for the leader of the Dock Workers Union.
Oh, you want Mr. Everett then? He's an awfully nice fellow, he is. Him and his brother are both nice fellows. They've lived their entire lives in this here neighborhood.
He coughs, then continues immediately.
Guys like Mr. Everett and Mr. Edgar, his brother, are real good guys. Made Martinez what it is today. Mr. Everett and Mr. Edgar and I went to the same school we did when we were boys.
Made Martinez what it is today. That's not entirely a good thing, is it? Easy now, Leo. I just want to know where I can find this man.
Oh, Mr. Everett is where he always is. In his office, of course.
He points to the two joint containers on your right. Okay, I'm off.
Bye-bye now.
He returns to his work. And here's our thought.
Kingdom of Conscience. The Kingdom of Conscience will be exactly as it is now. Moralists don't really have beliefs. Sometimes they stumble on one, like on a child's toy left on the carpet. The toy must be put away immediately, and the child reprimanded. Centrism isn't change, not even incremental change. It is control over yourself and the world. Exercise it. Look up at the sky. at the dark shapes of the Coalition airships hanging there. Ask yourself, is there something sinister in moralism? And then answer, no. God is in his heaven. Everything is normal on Earth.
And this is why I got that. We don't really care about this, and we already had that. But this is what we needed. Learning cap for volition raised to 5. And I think we're going to make use of that on our way out. But not yet. Let's go talk to Everard. The coffee in the giant thermoses is still lukewarm. And yes, this office is made out of shipping containers. A taxidermy fish that tells time.
Before you is a walrus of a man seated behind a large desk. He looks up from his work, not the least bit surprised to see you.
Now, I want to point out 2 things real quick before we begin this interaction. The first is Joyce mentioned that the way you can tell the difference between Edgar and Everard is the lazy eye. And here in the portrait, pretty obviously a lazy eye. This should be Everard. Everyone says it's Everard. He's going to identify himself as Everard. But if this painting is to be believed, we're actually talking to his twin brother. And by the way, that's not information that Harry will ever learn in the course of this game. We, the player, can come to that conclusion. Our main character won't. The second thing I wanted to mention is he's a walrus of a man. You may recall when we first looked at our portrait at the mirror in the bathroom, the painting was actually quite nice. Harry, at least in that painting, is a moderately attractive man. And yet all of the dialogue seemed to indicate that he is absolutely hideous. And this picture we're carrying of ourselves, I think this is our mental picture of what we think we look like, much uglier than what we actually look like in the mirror. Everything we see in this game is subjective. It's from Harry's perspective, and Harry thinks that he's ugly. Therefore, despite the evidence of our eyes, he's going to describe himself as looking like a corpse. Similarly, he's going to describe Everard, at least in his own mind, as being grotesque and fat and just disgusting because of how fat he is. That, I think, betrays Harry's prejudices and his inner insecurities. He is athletic, and as we have seen with physical instrument, that's tied into his perceptions of self-worth and masculinity and machismo and so forth. Whether or not it ever comes out of his mouth, he holds fat people, especially fat men, in contempt. And conveniently enough, that's going to color the dialogue that lets the player know what we should think of this man. Even if we're not thinking critically about Harry's perception of physical fitness and fat phobia and masculinity and whatnot, it's going to create an atmosphere that despite how helpful and friendly this man is, on some level, he's disgusting. Just not necessarily physically.
With great effort, he straightens himself up in his chair, yet says nothing. He simply stares at you.
You in charge of the dock workers?
Welcome, Mr. Dubois, Mr. Kitsuragi. It's good of you two to stop by. Please, have a seat.
He gestures to a tiny chair opposite to his giant desk. He knows our name. Why does he know our name?
I'm Everard Clare, head of the Debarders Union here in Martinez.
The man relaxes into his chair and continues.
I'd offer you my hand, but unfortunately my health prevents me from getting up. You understand?
He looks extremely comfortable. The tiny folding chair, on the other hand, looks like a torture device.
It is.
You go ahead, detective.
The lieutenant nods at you, then the chair.
Whatever he has in store for you, it can't be good, he thinks. I'll do my best. Forget about that. What's with this Dubois stuff? You're getting some seriously bad vibes from that name.
We have not yet accepted that that's our name, and Inland Empire in particular wants to get us away from our past. You'll remember, Inland Empire didn't want us to open the container in the ledger and read the postcard. We're escaping our past. Why are you calling me Mr. Dubois?
Please, Mr. Dubois, let us converse in a civilized manner, as equals. Take a seat. I insist.
It's nothing. Yes, that's probably right. It's nothing. Forget about it. Filter it out.
I don't sit. It's kind of my thing.
Very well, Mr. Dubois. I respect a man with strong convictions.
As he nods, his multiple chins move like ocean waves.
I, too, have convictions. One of which is that I will not engage with any man who won't face me at eye level.
Oh, you want me to pick you up?
Should you find yourself more amenable in the future, I'd gladly resume our conversation. But until then, I'm afraid I must ask you to leave.
He turns back to his typewriter. This is what someone who has attended a seminar thinks is a power move. In fact, it's just bullying.
You're no Titan of Elysium, buddy. He's got you in a fork. Sit down or leave.
Well, let's have a seat.
Excellent, Mr. Dubois. I can see that you're a reasonable man, and reasonable men can be of great use to one another.
He gives you a sly wink. Remain serious.
So tell me, how can the head of the Debarders Union help a representative of the Revachol Citizens Militia today?
The chair you're sitting on has got to be the most uncomfortable chair in the world. It's violating your backside.
That's right. This damaged our health. And if we hadn't had healing items on hand, would have straight up killed us.
Oh, by the way, I heard you got a rather rude reception from a certain Lawrence Gart. Some people have no manners, it pains me to say. This should take care of that nonsense.
He points to a giant novelty check on his desk. It's absolutely comically large.
It should be sufficient to cover your expenses for a few days and patch over your differences with a cafeteria manager. Go ahead, take it.
He points at it again.
Wow, that's 25 real. That's good money. You need it.
Wait, you know Gart?
Yes, I know Lawrence. He's a real character. No union man in him. A real piece of work, that boy is.
With a grin, he points to the checker game. It's like you're on a game show. At least don't thank him for it.
We're not gonna take this bribery. I mean, definitely not while Kim is watching. Keep it. I'm good.
Okay. I respect a man with principles. No handouts, then.
He crosses his arms on his ample midsection and sinks further into his chair.
Now, I'd like to set your mind at ease about one other matter. Your lost gun. Let me assure you, Union people are on it as we speak. I've got my best hounds looking for that lost gun.
His slug-like lips move, but all you hear is an echo. Lost gun, lost gun, lost gun. The world is swallowed by a black hole of fear. Only 2 words escape its gravitational pull. Lost and gun.
So that was morale damage just now. Something that also could have killed us. Or at any rate, made us not want to be a cop anymore and therefore game over.
When he said, "Don't worry," he actually meant, be very worried.
How do you know about my lost gun?
I know everything, Harry. Right now, I know that you're worried. Don't be worried. Everything's going to be all right. It's not like you left it loaded. You didn't lose a loaded gun. Local children aren't out there playing with it right now, pointing it into their own mouths. It's in a safe place. I just know it. I have a feeling everything's going to be all right.
It was loaded. There were 2 bullets in it. You always keep at least 2 barrels loaded.
Don't panic. I don't think we're gonna make this one.
God, you're sweating. Your knee is jerking. You're about to cry, aren't you? You're about to cry because you lost your gun and those children are gonna shoot themselves with it.
So what? Men can cry too. We certainly have earned it.
You want to cry? God, you're weak. Whatever you do, don't cry. You'll think you're disgusting.
I mean, sure. Our composure, in theory, has our back.
Mr. Dubois, you don't look so good.
What is this, Mr. Dubois? He keeps repeating. What is he trying to pull here? You need to cool the fuck down. Chill.
Mr. Dubois! Mr. Dubois! Harry!
The large man snaps his fingers, but to no effect. You're in some stupor. Keep sliding down the chair like a jello shot.
Mr. Dubois, are you okay? Can I get you a glass of water or something? Are you having some kind of medical emergency?
Maybe you could use your hands somehow, in a kind of throw-in motion, like you're throwing that Mr. Dubois act right back at him. He's Mr. Dubois.
Nah, I'm as good as it gets, Mr. Dubois. Vaguely gesture with your hands above your head. It's a weird move, but it's a move of defiance.
Don't be dramatic. I can see your condition isn't terminal.
You don't know that.
What an odd demonstration of... you got me, Harry. I don't even know what. As entertaining as it was, I'm afraid we're wasting our time. And I'm an extremely busy man, as I'm sure you are too.
Okay, enough. We are here to ask you some questions pertaining to a murder investigation.
Quick, here's your window. Get yourself together and ask him questions. Police officer questions.
I'm told the union is involved in the local drug trade.
What? Harry, how could you say that to me? You know I appreciate a joke as much as any jolly fat guy, but I can't take slander. Are you actually investigating this?
The reaction appears to be sincere, but it's impossible to tell with this guy, honestly.
I am.
You've hurt me, Harry. Me, a friend. But
The
you know
man
what?
rubs his temple and closes his eyes. He perks up.
I trust you, like I trust all my friends. And I know you'll never talk to me about this again, because you don't want to wound me. So do what you want, and let's change the subject.
He's hiding his real reaction beneath courtesy.
Thank you for your understanding. We will continue to do what we must.
You too, Lieutenant. You know, I like you, but you never were my favorite. I'm a Harry guy. I'm Team Harry.
None taken. Did we have anything else to do here, Harry?
Aren't you gonna ask me how I got in?
Harry, honestly, I'm just relieved you didn't get a hernia. A man your age.
A man my age? What are you implying? I'm at the peak of my abilities.
Yes, Harry. You are obviously in peak physical condition, and I salute both your initiative and your physical prowess. Very impressive, Harry. Very impressive. Anyway, I assure you, I am a very well-informed man. Information reaches me before I even get the chance to request it.
You called me Mr. Dubois. Why?
Of course. Let us dispatch with the formalities. You call me Everard, I call you Harry.
So that's really my name?
My God, so it's true. I didn't want to believe it, but you are a fantastic science fiction amnesiac cop, aren't you? What are the odds of that?
I think the odds of that are very low.
Kim, even now, suspects that we're faking it.
It might be a good idea to hide your confusion. I mean, see what his game is first.
Nah, it's true. My memory is a bit hazy.
I assure you, there's nothing to be ashamed of, Harry. You're among friends, and the good news is...
He taps on the folder in front of him.
I have a big fat folder on you, Harry. I'm sure you have a lot of questions to ask. Maybe I can help you out. I'm sure you had some concerns you thought I might be able to address. And you are probably right. I can.
It's just a brown folder. You can't make out what's written on it.
Are you trying to tell me you've gotten hold of some of our documents?
The lieutenant inspects Everard over his spectacles.
Mr. Kitsuragi, would you mind? Me and Harry are talking about his lost identity right now.
Don't just jump to the folder. That's not smart. Shows you're on the edge. Do some probing first.
Let's get this straight. What is my full name?
It's Harry. Harry Dubois.
Okay, I like it. I can work with that.
And I can work with you, Harry. Now, what else can I do for you?
Do you know where I live?
But of course, Harry. Your precinct is the 41st and you live in Jamrock. You're a Jamrock boy. A long way from home, but that's okay.
He doesn't really seem to know any more about it.
Yeah, that's not my home address. Do you know anything about my family? Do I have a wife or kids or...
Family? Harry, you're not a family man. There's not one peep of family in here. Unless you think you're a family man. Do you strike yourself as a family man, Harry?
You're right, I don't.
That's why I like you, Harry. A good man knows both his strengths and his weaknesses, and you, my friend, you are one of the all-time greats.
Well, what kind of cop does it say I am? This is probably going to say superstar, because that's the first capo type we got.
Harry, you're not simply a cop, you're a star. A bright shining star in the drab law enforcement sky, outshining all other stars. You're a superstar.
Much like with Annette, she retroactively thinks that we were acting like a superstar just because we had tagged that option early enough. That's what I like about you, Everard. You get me.
Of course I do, Harry. And I'm gonna help you shine. I'm gonna put you on all the big stages, your name in giant neon letters. Harry Dubois.
Where'd you get that folder?
Ah, this? My friends in your organization gave it to me, Harry.
This translates into, haha, you guys are so corrupt.
I find that very suspicious. May I have a look?
I'm afraid this is meant for Union eyes only, Mr. Kitsuragi. I'm sure you understand. Please continue, Harry.
Alright, let's have a look at that folder. 92% thank you, Kim, for the suspicion.
As you look at the folder, Everard covers it with his hand and pets it. Is he trying to hide that it's not a real RCM folder? It certainly doesn't have the RCM stamp on it.
That's not an RCM folder.
Okay, Harry, you got me. This is from the Census Bureau, not the RCM. Those Census Bureau people are absolutely corrupt. You should do something about them.
He got the name from the Census Bureau, and everything else from your actions here in Martinez.
Yes, Mr. Kitsuragi from the Census Bureau. Like I said, now I'm actually a very busy man. So is there anything else I can do for you, Harry?
He tried to mess with us, and we have called him on it.
That means he doesn't really know anything about you. A pity. The mystery of you will have to remain a mystery for the time being.
So the Census Bureau says my name is Harry Dubois?
Yes, that's what I said. Try to keep up, okay? Let's move on.
Let's talk about my lost gun.
Yes, your lost gun. My best men are on it. They're turning every stone, searching every playground, asking kids, grandmas, everyone. Your gun will be found, Harry. Let me assure you of that. It's just a matter of time and effort.
The only way to find it seems to be working with him. He might even be holding your gun hostage.
Wait, the gun may have been bought from Roy's pawn shop. Have your men factored that in?
Yes. Thank you for the hot tip regarding your lost gun, Harry. My men have indeed factored in that you pawned it. Now please, let the professionals do their job. Kick back, Harry, relax. I have great guys on this. You focus on what's important. Building our relationship for the good of Martinez.
Does this mean if I do things for you, I will get my gun back?
Damn it, Harry. That's exactly what it means. I'm only kidding, of course.
Ah, yes. Yes, it is. Oh, just kidding. It's a common tactic of people who wish to communicate but not be held responsible. You might be familiar with some politicians who make jokes.
Of course. I understand. We help you, you help us.
I want to talk about the hanging.
Oh, of course. That's your main thing here. That's why you're in Martinez. I know everything that goes on around here, and I would love to help, like I'm helping you with your lost gun. I mean, it's no secret that the lynching is connected to the strike. So much to talk about. Honestly, it's been weighing on me so heavily. I understand you need to interview me.
I sense there's a but.
But there's a thing that's been keeping me up at night. I want to talk about the hanging. I mean, if we could just calmly talk, exchange information, we could blow this thing wide open.
Yes, that sounds good. Let's do that.
But I can't think straight with this thing weighing on me. You're police officers, aren't you? I have a crazy idea. You guys are basically door-opening machines, incredibly talented at opening doors.
I've opened a few doors in my life.
And I'm sure you're going to open this one with flying colors, Harry. This really is very simple, and there's nothing shady about it.
An excellent opportunity presents itself, sire. You could win the trust of the arch-liar, pretend to play into his hand. Then, should you wish, bend his efforts towards your own.
Whose door is it?
Oh, no one's. It's just a weasel. A weasel lives there. Nothing for you to worry about.
Why don't you just open it yourself?
Harry, I'm a very busy man, and more importantly, I don't have that extraordinary physique you do. You look like you could run around all day.
You want to send someone a message that the police are working for you.
I repeat, I'm a very, very busy man, Mr. Kitsuragi, and therefore I must occasionally enlist outside help. So
What do you
could it
mean
be,
by
Harry?
a weasel?
A loud blabbering weasel. When weasels feel no one is watching, they start acting foolishly.
He removes his glasses and rubs his nose.
Just go there, unlock the door, and leave it open. It's been such a burden on me, Harry. I just want this to be over so I can discuss business with you.
He puts his glasses back on. I bet you don't even know anything about the hanging.
Harry, my dear friend, I am what people call a local bigwig. I know everything that goes on in Martinez.
Damn it, fine, I'll look into it. We need to talk about that murder.
Fantastic, my friend. Just let me know when it's done and we can take our friendship to the next level. You can get the key from Manana. He's down by the gates. Manana's like a free agent in the Union. Special operations. Hardened socialist. A real free thinker, too. He'll tell you precisely where the door is. One last thing, Harry.
Manana, if you don't remember, Call Me Manana is his full name. He's the guy with the mustache who's a boyadero.
Just open the door. You don't need to go in or anything. I just want that weasel to come home and see the unlocked door.
I met Joyce, the company representative.
Oh, that's very nice. I haven't gotten around to her yet. I'm very, very busy, you see. I hope you're getting along. One thing I want to make very clear, Harry, is that this is not some kind of union versus corporation situation. Everyone is just pals here.
Just pals?
We're all trying to do what's best for Martinez. Don't feel like you can't cooperate with her because you and I are such good friends and I'm helping you find your lost gun. I'm not a jealous guy.
Much like the capo types, we can multi-class our corruption. So, what happened to the previous negotiator, Mr. Gaumont?
What do you mean, Harry? Nothing. I let him go.
He made concessions for the company in previous negotiations. Why would you let an ally like that go?
He's an old man, Harry. I wanted him to spend more time with his family. God knows how long he's got left.
You called him a midget?
Harry! I have little people in my organization. I would never call someone a midget. What is this? Honestly, I'm beginning to think you're a midget, Harry. I'm only kidding, Harry. You're not a midget. No one is. We're pals.
That's an interesting way to use ableist terminology. Joyce said the previous union leader vanished under suspicious circumstances.
Vanished? Harry, the woman left her casserole in the oven and couldn't make it here in time for the voting. Oh, did I leave my casserole on? Better go home and check. The election can wait. When she got back, the whole thing was over.
Wait, there was no mention of a casserole from Joyce.
Funny, Joyce didn't mention any casserole.
Harry, Harry, Harry. Do not fixate on this little matter. Maybe it was a rabbit stew. or a hairdryer, or an iron. The point is, her heart wasn't in it. Mine was.
The ever so subtle implication that this woman was too busy fixated on cooking, drying her hair, ironing clothes. You know, things that he thinks women should be doing.
This particular brand of humor he has, it makes for a fine distraction.
Not quite on the level of locker room talk, but I suspect he would have made different choices if we were female. Everett, Joyce seems to think the Union is lowballing her.
Yes, yes. Low-balling, of course. This isn't a casino, Harry. Real people, real livelihoods are at stake here. But everything's a casino for those rich types.
His expression makes it clear. This is childish and irresponsible behavior.
Why haven't you let her in to see you?
If she actually wants to see me, she will find a way. Any good negotiator would. And I just don't have anything to discuss with a bad negotiator.
It's a fortress. He knows she can't get in here.
Okay, let's talk about something else.
Of course, Harry. Let me just assure you one more time. It's perfectly okay to share anything we discuss here with this Joyce. This is a completely transparent organization.
Even though we just saw that he's putting the covers on the containers in the yard, specifically in a way that it would be difficult to observe from the outside. These shipping containers aren't very transparent.
I have no interest in what she is doing, but I myself have nothing to hide. Your business is your business, and I respect your privacy. Just remember, none of this is secret. Tell her about all of it. My brother's picture, my singing swordfish clock. Tell her how overweight I am and how I'm helping you find your lost gun. Tell her about everything. Everett doesn't mind.
It is rather interesting to tell people things about each other, isn't it? It was nice telling him about her right now.
That seems like he's encouraging us to give Joyce information. He does want to communicate with Joyce, but he wants to do it through us. Everett, I'm going to leave now, but we might talk again later.
Wait. You need this to get in and out through the gate.
Thanks. I was wondering how I was supposed to get out.
Here, you're one of us now. A real red and white Union man. Take care, Harry.
Okay. Where are we at for skill points? 90. Real close. Okay, here's our things we need to do. This is the real important one. Get the key from Manana and then open the door. Also, we need to find a book about cockatoos, and we need to find Morel. Alright. Let's head out. Got everything we needed here. And now we leave through the office. Dawson means whale fjord in Arden.
Before you stands a cargo container, just one of many in the yard.
Lieutenant, I think there's something special about this container.
Is this like your thing with that wall again?
No, it's totally different. I don't want to paint it. I'm just drawn to it.
There are a million containers here. Why are you fixating on this one?
It was hanging from the crane.
You just picked one out because you wanted to interact with a cargo container. We are not here to interact with containers. We are here to talk to the Union, right?
Knock on the door.
No reply. The knock produces a hollow ring of metal. Doesn't sound like there's anything inside the container.
Open the door.
You attempt to turn the handle, to no avail. The doors seem to be mechanically locked. To your left, the lieutenant considers your actions with some puzzlement.
Okay, erratic yet thorough, been in the world for 2 days. Money is all about trust. You may remember a while ago I went through talking to, well, not really talking to, but listening to the NPC in the Whirling. The reason that I cycled through all those dialogue options is it gives us a +1 to this check. But before we do, let's just check our not wearing anything against it. Rhetoric? Anything rhetoric? We're probably not going to make this, but that's okay. We can always get back to it later. Nope, nothing.
You're back before the cargo container. Why are you even
Nope.
trying to open a door with rhetoric?
Because getting physical wasn't an option. By the way, note, this is in quotes. We're about to respond to rhetoric verbally.
Because what wasn't an option?
Never mind.
Are you satisfied, detective?
Nothing more to do here for now. We'll have plenty of time to get back to this later. For now, let's go. Don't have much time left in this stream. Want to explore the office and get out. Actually, before we do, I just remembered. I don't think we've looked in here yet.
This is the night watchman's booth. The name on the door reads, René Arnaud.
In case you don't remember, he's the old guy in the military uniform who's throwing balls in a crater. So this is where René works. I'm gonna look around.
If you must. But please hurry. We are pretty easy to spot up here.
Indeed we are. He's got a direct view to the corpse.
Nothing incriminating catches your eye. The cabinets are clean and their sparse contents meticulously organized. There's a framed photograph on the table. Looks like the inhabitant is rather pedantic when it comes to order.
Yeah, take the picture, we're taking everything else.
It's a black and white photo of a young couple out in a street fair. The man, René, is dressed in a Royal Carabinier uniform. The girl is young and very pretty. She is smiling playfully at the camera.
Why did you take that picture of René?
I'm gonna ask him about it.
You're really interested in that old soldier. Not sure I understand your fascination, but sure, as long as it doesn't take up a whole lot of time.
Okay, so now we will investigate this place. The radio is emitting strange buzzing sounds. A giant ass print on the pillow and a pattern of coffee rings on the armrest. Someone is habitually chilling next to the radio. Someone left the coffee machine on. Gonna take that. Let's have a look at it. First off, the photo. A black and white photo of a couple posing in front of a Ferris wheel. The girl is young and pretty, the man clad in a fancy uniform and smiling. On the back, a very steady hand has written the words, Revachol Fair, Summer of '91. That photo, 60 years old. Book La Fumée, Volume 1, Number 4. We can interact with this later. The leading intellectual organ of Martinet's communism offers a radical Mazovian perspective on a range of contemporary issues. The cover features a stylized portrait of the late King Frisell with a pair of white antlers growing out of his head. A standard office file cabinet. The drawers seem to be locked. They certainly seem to be. This is a Dewey typewriter. The model name is on the back. Every worker equals member of the board is written at the top of the flyers. And at the bottom, the union logo and demand democracy. Alright, gonna grab some other stuff here. Got another postcard. Healing item, thank you. And alright, let's have a look. Postcard Le Jardin 21. This laminated postcard offers a glimpse across the river. A little more than a decade after the war, the eastern bank is already fully renovated. The hillsides are lush with gardens and residences. Someone's parked a small beige airship by the fountain. This postcard will sell for a pretty penny. So this is one of the nicer ones. It's 34 cents compared to 13 cents. And we got these shades. Neat office shades. +1 to visual calculus, Eye of the Reckoner, -1 to drama. A bit dry. These were stuffed away in the dock workers' union office. They're perfect for scribbling down paperwork when the sun tries to get in your eye. Good for staring down suspects, too. Let's pop them on. Why not? Alright. Where are we at for... Oh, we need literally one more. You know what? I know where we can get one. Because I want to grab one before we do the thing we're going to do next. Alright. And... boop. I notice, in case of a strike, press button behind guard. Alright. That was an orb, that was a point. We now have 2 skill points to work with. And... because we have Kingdom of Conscience, our learning cap for Volition is higher. We can now spend points on Volition in case we fail this.
On second glance, someone has forgotten to properly close one of the drawers.
It's unfortunate for the Union to just leave their paperwork lying around like this.
Oh, I agree. Let's open the drawer.
The drawer opens smoothly. Inside is a well-organized selection of brown folders.
Let's browse through the folders.
Hundreds of documents containing logistical data. 2 kinds of transactions stand out. Materials coming into Revachol from the outside world, from Muindi, Grad, and even Ilmara. And the same materials being handed over to companies inside Revachol. Kuron, Coal City, La Delta, and Jamrock are listed among the many districts where the imports are being sold.
Anything interesting?
It's hard to make sense of this thicket of company names, dates, quantities, and percentages. You try to focus, but the lines are getting blurry.
Alright. Force yourself to go through the folders.
Look how blurry all the lines
Nope.
on these papers are. How unwieldy
Close.
your own willpower is to yourself. You're like an absurdist Samaran monk, focusing through not focusing. Hermeneutics was almost within your grasp, but now only vague letters float before your eyes. Less meaningful, but aesthetically more pleasing.
Could I actually focus through not focusing?
You're a police officer, not a spiritual healer. You can focus the normal way by turning your attention to something and not letting go.
If I let my eyes go completely out of focus, all shapes start melting into each other.
Is that what you're doing with those folders over there?
Yes.
Right. This is probably not relevant to our case. After all, we're not investigating an accounting mystery.
Alright. That gives us another try at it.
You're trying hard, but the data here is unbelievably dry. Something about containers. The drawer slides shut smoothly.
Alright, now unfortunately, we don't have any articles of clothing that would give us volition. So we gotta do it the old-fashioned way. But first, you know what'll help? Let's do some drugs. Where is it? Come on. Oh, this happens sometimes. The drug thing isn't kicking in. Alright, that's fine. We don't need it. Yeah. We'll just do this. Now you can see we've got 2 morale. Let's give it another
The
shot.
file cabinet stands steady as ever, and the unlocked drawer slides out to greet you.
If we don't get this, we're gonna go out adventuring, get another skill point, come back, and keep trying. By the way, this is something that I want to talk about with regards to communism. In this game, the thought about communism let us know that communism is truly about failure. And yet, via the mechanics of this game, failure is often the better option. There are some checks where you want to fail them to get a more optimal path. And in general, if you fail, you can put a point in the skill and try again. That's the better strategy rather than putting the point in the skill first, then trying. This way, you get 2 shots at it. Failure is optimal.
Whatever's hidden
There we
here
go.
is hidden well. Concentration isn't enough. Only a trained accountant with a background in logistics would be able to really make sense of it. However, there is a little handwritten note stuck on the side of the drawer.
Let's look at the note.
It appears to be a to-do list written in large, uneven capital letters. Remember, Leo, Everard's shoes, special whirling borscht, water Everard's plants, sweep office floor, more banners.
Special whirling borscht.
All items on the list have been crossed out, and the note itself is crumpled.
Look, Kim, a to-do note with a list of errands for Everard.
One of his aides must have left it. Nothing incriminating here.
The special borscht seems a bit odd in the list.
Let's take another look at the note.
Remember, Leo, Everard's shoes.
All right,
All
that's
items on the list. The drawer slides shut.
Alright. So, we're gonna ask Leo about the borscht real quick. And then there's just one more thing before we end the stream. Gotta go get that key from Manana. And Manana's gonna give us some details about the weasel. It's not Polly Shore. Hi, Leo.
Oh, hey, mister. I knew you'd be back to talk with old Leo here. Yes, I did. It's like Lady Lariche said when she opened a bathhouse in the basement of my apartment building. They can only get so far before they're aching to get back. And lots of folk really did keep coming back.
I had some questions for you if that's not too much trouble.
No trouble at all, mister. No trouble at all. It's like that old saying goes, wisdom withers if not shared. And old Leo is always up for sharing.
I like that saying. Are you the Leo who wrote the note to make more banners?
Oh, yes. I leave all kinds of notes for myself. That old head of mine ain't so good at keeping things in no more. I almost forgot about the borscht.
What was that about the borscht?
Oh, yes. I've been taking special whirling borscht to the men every day since the strike started. It's very, very good. Makes a man feel so warm and happy. I feel like I could take on Mr. Renadan's boar dogs every time the lunch is done.
What do you mean by taking this soup to the men? Is it for striking?
Yes. I'm taking it to them. The borscht keeps them happy and in fighting spirits. Makes you all warm inside. They brew it in the whirling in rags.
Hold up, who makes it at the whirling?
Oh, the whirling's cook. He makes it. Them is always talking with Mr. Manana in that weird language and laughing together. He doesn't speak what we speak. He's from Grad.
That's the Gorenci Kubek we talked to about the Blue Door. Something is off about this borscht. I'm gonna look into it.
Oh, sure, mister. Sure. You do that. Yes, sir.
He didn't actually understand what you meant, and now he's just nodding along.
Okay, I'm off. And we will indeed investigate the borscht. That will be very important. Indeed, lives may hang in the balance, but not for any reason that you might think. Alright. Let's go get that key from Manana.
So, how'd you like our harbor?
You've been in there, he means. Talked to the boss man too, probably.
Let's get that communism point. It's a labor utopia.
It's but a rest area on the path leading across open plains.
He notes solemnly, then turns to you, a wide smile adorning his face.
Right. You talk to the boss, eye to eye, like men of the plain. If you have any more questions, I'm set to talk.
Colony Manana respects men who respect each other. Everett said you had a key to a door?
A key, huh? What door is this key supposed to open?
He said it belonged to a weasel.
Oh, say no more. I got you.
He taps the side of his nose with a little wink.
I got that key right here. And let me tell you, it's mighty good of you to help us out during the strike. Working class solidarity, as they say.
Alright, now, this again, we've got our 4 political options. I saw an opportunity and took it. I'm a hustle grinder, obviously ultra-liberal. I heard something about a weasel and it didn't sound like a local polar weasel, if you know what I mean. Wink. This, you might not suspect, but polar weasel, the game interprets that to mean white. This is racist, aka fascist. I'm not opening this door for myself. I'm opening it for all working men. Obviously communist, and then I'm not really doing this for political reasons. Moralist. Communism.
I knew this man was a commie. And it's a good thing you're doing too. Thanks. What you're looking for is a basement door behind the greenhouse. That's behind the whirling and rides. That's all I know. Our organization is what you call compartmentalized. Means we keep out of each other's business.
Meaning you and the other strikers are not aware of what Everard is doing with the containers. And in fact, not even aware of the fact that it's not Everard, it's Edgar.
Okay, but where did you get the key from?
The janitor gave it to me. Nice fella. We talked about life and things that really, truly matter.
His gaze wanders off into the distance.
None of this mess we're in. This jiving and juggling. What's it for? To feed our children, I guess.
Anything else I should know about this task? This weasel person? When he'll be home?
I'm more of a philosophical dock worker. I like to talk about the big picture stuff. Who I am, who you are, what we are fighting for.
The man takes a big sip from his flask. And I think it's just been shown to us that that's precisely why he is useful. He has big philosophical talks with people. He's friendly. He has a sip from his flask, and therefore he can talk people into giving him keys.
He means he's not going to tell you cause he doesn't know. But he will shoot his mouth off with you now that you're working for Everard.
Why are you striking?
We're negotiating our share.
Your share?
Aye.
So, not wages or pensions or...
This stuff. They already covered.
At least you got the benefits. That's something.
It's not enough. Not enough to get ahead. More about keeping us in our place.
How large a share would you like?
All of it. However, right now we want all the harbor workers to be on the company's board, so they could take part in the decision-making process.
Joyce has already let us know why this is unrealistic. Mañana might not know that.
This seditious talk sounds like communism. Just so we're on the same page, communism is basically wanting to kill the rich people, or deporting them to a labor camp in southeast Grad. But don't say that out loud if you're a communist.
In much the same way that rhetoric encouraged us when we were talking with our endurance not to talk about the fact that fascism is primarily about hating women. Are you a communist?
No. I don't think I'm a communist. Seeing something of value and saying I want it all to myself is a much older and simpler notion. No science to it at all.
Well, points for honesty.
Even a weak child can think it. The only things holding someone back are I can't and I shouldn't.
But the stuff you do aligns admirably with the World Republic. Why not call yourself a communist?
I have nothing against communists. They are honorable boyaderos. And they have good analysis. But my own code serves me well. If my code starts failing, a code can fail a man as well as a man can fail a code, then I will have to submit to a new one, which may well be communism.
He knows who he is, firmly grounded, has no need to reinforce or elaborate his political identity to himself or others.
I guess I understand.
See, I am primarily a lazy person.
He looks very amused, as if thinking about some private joke or mystery. Note that for a lazy person, he has chosen to perch himself somewhere where he needs to actively maintain effort not to fall down. The boss man, Everard, what can you tell me about him?
I think it's best you make up your own mind now that you've met him. In my eyes, he is a capable organizer and a decent businessman.
What does bossing the Union entail, anyway?
I guess you kind of get to be the village chief. He oversees the harbor, makes deals with the owners or other relevant parties, watches out for his own.
By that, you mean corruption?
By heavens, why would he not be corrupt? We live in a harsh and disordered world, see? And in this world, the old man is corrupt for our benefit, and we know it. Appreciate it even. He is, personally, not too lavish.
Remember when I talked about the different political orientations, and I mentioned that on the left side, the true essence of it is caring for people even if they are unlike yourself, and on the right side, it's more mammalian concerns of looking out for your family? I would say that although Everard is in theory a communist and will say left-wing things, he's basically just looking out for Martinez as though it were his family. He is a patriarch of the district. So, in that essence, he is effectively right-wing. He's certainly not democratic. That desk seemed lavish to me.
He is reasonably lavish, sure. That's his prerogative. It's not like you want a saintly demeanor on a corrupt motherfucker. That would be a manipulative illusion. Besides, there are no non-corrupt systems in the world anyway. And moralism is the most corrupt of them all.
This is what comes of fatalism and doomerism. You accept the bad because you believe there is no good.
This man has political theory, and it has not failed him today.
You seem to have spent a lot of time thinking about the political situation.
Sure, I've had the necessary free time. Fortunately, there's always time.
The look in his brown eyes conjures up an understanding. For him, having command of his time is the most important thing. It all comes together now. The way he speaks about scabs, his general attitude. He's a follower of a 500-year-old Franco-Nigerian Boyadero code, itself an appropriation of Vespertine cool. That of a noble peasant or a traveling herdsman. True to yourself, independent in your actions, loyal to your friends.
Maybe I am a boyadero.
No.
I could...
No. The man sits on the railing, his hands reaching far and wide. Yet it feels as if he could, effortlessly, go even wider, if need be. An endless torrent of time.
Any idea who killed the hanged man?
The mercenary, eh? Who could have killed him? That's indeed the question. Why even do such a thing?
The harbor is a prime area of suspicion. In your opinion, are the dock workers involved in the killing?
What a thought! Why would noble workers resort to such a thing? Unless they were pushed, of course.
Pushed how?
Your dead guy was an enemy combatant.
There are many tactics that can be used to justify violence. Accusing someone of consorting with sheep, for example, or simply denying their humanity. But this is one of the easiest ones. He wasn't a person we need to respect bound by the law. He was an enemy combatant. And when soldiers on one side kill soldiers on the other side, that doesn't count as murder, does it? What does that mean?
He was an agent of the opposition, attempting to undermine our honorable efforts.
Did you kill him?
I ain't the murdering type, but that's just me. Large organizations like our union have all sorts of men, with all sorts of skills.
A big tent.
He's not lying about not doing it himself.
Understood. This has been of limited use. Still, thank you.
No problem. I wish the best to you in your search. Sure, I'm glad it's not my search.
He takes a sip from his flask, and we're done. And just like we're done with this stream, I would like to thank you all for joining me. As always, it has been a real pleasure, and we're making some progress, even though we had to spend some points to make it. But that's part of the path and part of why I'm taking on so many of these challenges. Every task that we take on gives us more experience that allows us to do more tasks. That's the game, and arguably that's life. But speaking of life, I'm gonna get back to mine, and you should all get back to each of yours. Thank you all so much for joining me. Catch you next week, and have a very nice day.